Wow, I am excited to be with you today because not often are we humbled and given the privilege to share our story. And the story that I want to share with you is just a journey that has been a process over time. And I just hope that maybe some of the takeaways that you leave with today will just kind of validate you, maybe uplift you, maybe just say, hey, this is why we're here, this is why we do what we do. So before I go into kind of the champion for communities and schools, which I absolutely am, I wanted to go into why do I do what I do? Why do we serve the community that we serve? And I will be introducing our wonderful, amazing Vikings a little bit later. So just so that you're aware, we have some special gifts and treats for you to view a little bit soon. So I want to start off with our vision at Valley High School is one school, one goal, is student success. No matter what we do and every decision that we make is based on what is the best interest for kids. And people say those words, they say them, right? But what do they do with the actions to show that that's a reality? And so what I'm saying to you today is hopefully by the time we're done having this conversation, you'll understand when we say one school, one goal, student success, we at Valley High School do whatever it takes to get our kids not only to graduate, but to be ready for life. And I think that's really the message that we want to leave with you today is how do we do that? And how do we create a culture and a climate that is conducive to creating that kind of pathway for our kids? So let me start off with La Familia. Do we have some hablas en español? Sí? Gracias. So I won't be speaking in Spanish other than that. My family, mi familia, La Familia, I'm the youngest of four. I'm a third generation Mexican-American, Latina, Latinx, whichever you want to call yourself. And so I had to, it's interesting, just kind of time frame here. My father, my mother met. My mother was not a high school graduate. She did not graduate from high school. My mother was raised in a single home because my grandfather was an alcoholic and an abuser. And so thankfully, some of our Latinas that understand and are empowered, my grandmother said, nada más, no more. So she put him out, and my aunts and uncles, because there were 5 of them, pretty much had to go and work, like many of our students today. So I say to you, my mother met my father in a restaurant, and he was a college student. So enough said. How to feed a man is how you win his stomach and his heart, right? So long story short, my mother and my father were very advocates for education, and I was very fortunate to grow up in a family that valued that. And I say that to you because my father was one of the very first bilingual social workers in the state of Nevada. One of the first in the 70s. So there you go. My father and my mother were active in the community. They were activists. So I want you to understand, in order to know a person as an individual and have a relationship, you have to know their what? Their story. You have to know their story. So I bring that up because my father instilled, and my mother, very strong values in me to be a public servant. In my father's journey and path, he at one point was a refugee resettlement coordinator. So back in the day in the state of Nevada, we had many individuals coming from other countries because of other things that are happening in the world like they are today. Nothing different, right? One of the things that I was privileged with my father was we had a family that was from Vietnam. They were so grateful that they made a dinner and cooked for us at our house. And I just want to end with this part of the story that's very important because when the meal was done, and it was an amazing meal, it's probably where I have my palate for food across and all over the world. My father looked at us and said, it's time to serve. And we were like, what do you mean? We just had a great meal. He said, they brought the plates. They made the food. You do the dishes. It's time to serve people. And so I say this to you because my family, we are public servants. You are public servants, or you wouldn't be in this role that you're here today. So I want to share that little piece of my life so you can understand how Valley is what it is today. Because of those values that were instilled in me, when I went to Valley High School 6 years ago, Valley High School was going to be taken over by the state because it was less than 50% graduation rate. Valley High School was one of the highest for expelling students. It was the second highest in the Clark County School District with over 34 students put out. And I mean put out, not to return. Valley High School was and is in a very active community. It's a large urban high school servicing over almost 3,000 students. And so back in the day when I came to Valley, we were maybe 75% free and reduced lunch. Fast forward 6 years, now we're 100% free and reduced lunch. So it shows you the demographics and the needs have shifted in this community over time. We are a minority-majority school, and I'm so proud of that. You know what I love about Valley? I call it my United Nations. You can walk into the cafeteria and see so many varied groups of students and sitting together or sitting with people they feel comfortable with. But you hear different languages in one space, and kids are inclusive, and they value each other. Just showing you some of our other information. It's our story. It's our reality. We are high chronically absent. A third of our kids are not showing up. And we do have high transiency. A lot of our kids are homeless. We are one of the highest that are considered a homeless population. And our kids are moving in and out throughout the school year. One thing that I'm most proud of is we do, and I mentioned it, have students that don't speak English as their first language. So a third of our school are second language learners. The thing that we shifted in our culture and our climate and our community over time is the expectations. That culture of success breeds success. So one school, one goal, student success. High expectations. Valley had less than 150 kids taking advanced placement coursework. That's not acceptable. Are we where we need to be? No. But we're shifting a culture and a mindset that they can go to college. They can be career ready. Over 600 students in advanced placement, and we're also offering dual credit for our kids as well. Proud to say that we do have 3 Magnet award-winning programs at Valley High School: International Baccalaureate, which is given the distinction this year, Magnet School of Distinction by MSA. We also received an award for our Academy of Hotel and Tourism, which is a Magnet School of Excellence from MSA. And we also added a brand new magnet, which is the Military Science Technology Emergency Response. So all of that in a nutshell. I want to just kind of have you see some of the things that our students are involved, because for me, co-curricular activities are everything. It's the buy-in with kids, and it's important for you to see that piece. Because if kids are connected, they feel like they belong, it's common sense. They're going to come to school. We're going to cue up a little video and share with you just a little piece of our story. We have a few for you to watch, if I can get them.
Well, it's an unorthodox way to get 8th graders ready for high school. Valley High School is trying out a new kind of orientation program. Action News reporter Parker Collins gives us an inside look.
Is this how you remember high school?
We're here for them, and I'm here for them.
For many of these students, it's the first time stepping foot through these doors, but in just days, they'll be freshmen here.
It's one of the hardest times for them to transition through their career, and so we want to make sure that they have a mentor.
There's a special weapon here that most freshmen don't get. They put together small groups of incoming middle schoolers and an upperclassman mentor. They're hoping this accountability will help combat the low graduation rate, which has been as low as 59%, and that was just a few years ago.
It's easy to get lost. It's easy to just blend in. And what we want to do is let them know we care about you.
It's empty and quiet right now, but when it's full of people, this can be a very intimidating place. They're working to change that with this class of incoming freshmen.
My freshman year, for example, I didn't have anyone to guide me throughout the year. And as a freshman, you make mistakes.
This is only the second year of the program, but it's already growing. Some of the advice is timeless.
I'm just telling them to just have the best time of their life practically, because these 4 years will pass them by so quickly.
At Valley High School, Parker Collins, Channel 13 Action News.
So, how we treat people, how we meet people, how we develop relationships is everything. And I know that that seems like common sense, but really what's intentional is that people come first. And I think that's the piece that we need to understand, is that we often lose sight of that because we get in our busy lives and things are happening and we want to get our data up. But guess what? I'm not telling you anything you don't know. That if you don't know your students' stories, if you don't know your staff stories, if you don't take the time to induct people into your culture, we call them being Vikinged up. And that's what we do. We have had a reduction in our expulsions. We have a reduction in bullying. We have seen the behaviors really be more positive on our campus because of that mentor of having an upperclassman for a lowerclassman. Carl Catarata, who was a Valley alum, graduated 5 years ago, is now working as an attaché for Congressman Susie Lee. That's student success. Can we cue up? Yeah, clap for that. Just another little video about a process that we did last year.
Valley High School is one of only 8 schools throughout the U.S. that got picked to be a part of this pilot teen mental health first aid program. Now, similar to how a typical CPR class goes, students are learning how to spot and help other peers that are in a crisis.
It is okay to not be okay.
High school senior Sasha Mosqueda learned that during this week's teen mental health first aid program.
There's a lot of students struggle with, accepting that, not everything goes as planned.
And that happens a lot. The CDC found that Nevada's teen suicide rate has gone up within the last few years. Students at Valley High School also noticed there was an issue at school.
So students have even come to me as a principal and said, Mrs. Esparza, what can we do to help? What can I do to help my friend?
So Mrs. Esparza applied for the Born This Way grant and got it, where seniors will learn a 5-step action plan helping them identify students who struggle with mental health.
Make sure you filled in your circle.
In Wednesday's class, students like Sasha learned 5 important steps to doing that.
Become, very aware of symptoms and warning signs.
Then the program teaches students to ask how they're doing and helps connect them with an adult.
It's really essential and vital for students to be able to have coping mechanisms and be able to know who to go to as a support system.
Valley High School wants students to realize there are resources and avenues for them to go to if they're not feeling okay.
We hope to save lives. We really hope that students can go to that support system and reach to someone.
For Sasha and her classmates, the hope is that this program continues in other schools.
I think it's extremely important that students are exposed to this early on so that we can lower, suicide rates.
Now, by the end of this week, students will get a certificate showing that they completed the Teen Mental Health First Aid Program. And just like you heard Sasha just say, even though this is just a pilot program in 8 schools right now, the goal is to spread this to other high schools in the country. Live in the studio, Alexander DeLeon, Fox 5 News, local, Las Vegas.
So one of the heartbreaking and most devastating calls a principal can get is when a student has passed. And so it has unfortunately happened, and also students' death by suicide. And there was a window of opportunity. So this was something that we did, and it was a process. And I also brought one of my amazing Vikings with us today. You'll meet in just a few moments. That was a part, and you saw her in the video, our social worker, Ms. Garcia. It was a huge undertaking, but Lady Gaga and Born This Way Foundation were great partners with us. And I know that Communities in Schools understands the importance of partnership. So the thing that I want you to know is it's a process, but it was necessary. And we're proud of the fact that we are going to continue that process. And what did I say? People, process. It's about action. And that is a key, because you can just wait for things and just say, well, that's an issue, it's a concern. What are you doing about it? Where's your action behind those words? Are we doing what's best for kids? Have a seat. And then our next amazing Viking, crucial, critical, and I actually stole Miss Garcia. We go way back because I think Jesse said it before, that when I was an assistant principal, Miss Garcia was still working at that school. So as soon as I was appointed, I said, Garcia, are you ready? Sarah Garcia, come on down. Thank you, Sarah. I'm a hugger, sorry.
We're gonna hug.
We're gonna hug, okay. So we're gonna do a little kind of talk show style, and then if there's some time for questioning, we'll do that a little bit later. You guys ready? Okay. So I think, Ms. Garcia, I'm gonna start with you first. So a question for you. What mindset or culture do we have at Valley that you feel maybe specifically supports our students?
So I think you really touched on that, Mrs. Esparza, and that was really one thing that allowed me to gravitate towards Valley, is your lens about how establishing relationship is so important. And you really echo that in everything that you do at Valley. We're constantly reminded, our staff, to be outside the door greeting students, whether they're showing up late for class or on time, recognizing that each student comes through the door with a story, with an obstacle. So really nurturing those relationships. We have such a trauma-informed lens at Valley in everything that we do. We offer students choices. We recognize that behind every behavior, there's a need. So we have this running joke about myself in the dean's office that I might as well just set up shop there, because every time there's an incident with a student, I am called in to assist and to figure out what the underlying need of that behavior is, so that we're not targeting how that behavior unfolded, we're targeting what the need is underneath that. And that's really what our students need, is for somebody to understand and take the time to understand. So we have a climate of caring, and that's really echoed through everything that we do, whether it's our staff showing up for our students to their games, or greeting them, you know, with a smile or a high five in the morning, or making sure they have something to eat. CIS coordinators, you guys know, they're showing up for you, and they're showing up for the snacks because they need it. They need it to get throughout the day, and they deserve it. So we really have that culture of our teachers, our staff believe in our students, and I really feel that that matters most.
And so I know Valley has done some pretty trailblazing things. One thing before I ask Gershon a question, we know that Valley was partnering with 2 nonprofits, and we were the first high school to open up a wellness center on site. And that wellness center, one of the nonprofits is the First Person Care Clinic, and maybe you can speak to that. And then we also have and it was very controversial. I'm looking at Mrs. Sherry Ward, a big supporter. Shout out to Sherry. That it was bringing data to the district, because they questioned, why did I feel that I needed to have a full-time mental health therapist 5 days a week? And so it was a conversation that had to be had. And many times you frame your story so that people understand the why, and you worry about the what and the how later. And so could you talk to the Wellness Center and some of the things that they provide for the kids?
Yeah, and I don't think you're giving yourself enough credit, Mrs. Barza, because you knocked down all the right doors to bring that on our campus, and it has really made a huge difference. So we do have a wellness center. My office is out in that portable as well, but we do offer free therapy. We have about 50 students utilizing that right now, and then we have free medical services for them. So we don't RPC students for not having their correct immunizations or shots. We do those on our campus. We make sure that our students have access to a physician to get a sports physical, because we know the after school extracurriculars bring students and keep students in. So we're fortunate to have that. We know, and you know, that wellness matters. I'm so impressed to see even CIS embodying that with your wellness room that you have here, because it matters. It's what is underneath our students being able to perform academically. And it's very intentional in the way that we've designed that. We offer therapeutic yoga for them as well, and a bunch of different additional support groups and things for the students out there. So it's awesome. We're lucky to have it.
And so now, thank you, Ms. Garcia, giving us that overview. And we call her an angel at Valley. I have 3 amazing social workers, and we have 8 counselors. Yes, we need even more than that. Gershon, are you ready?
I'm nervous, but yeah, I'm ready.
So Gershon and I met last year. Gershon, was it?
Yeah, my junior year when I
Your
first
junior
came.
year. And it's interesting because I really try my best to know my new students. And I know who's a Viking and who's Valleyed Up. And Gershon really stood out. And Gershon was in uniform, I think, the first day that we met, because you were in, at that time, the junior ROTC program with the Army. So I love to compliment my kids. We have our culture is dress for success. And so there's a dress day that they're required. So Gershon, do you want to talk about how we met and what your story's all about? Because Gershon, and I told him not to be nervous, but he has a very impactful story that I think, and he's willing to share it with us today. So
Oh God, wait.
it's all good.
So I moved to Valley from a previous school. I started my junior year. I did all my junior year, and now currently my senior year there. I was in foster care from the age of 2. I was raised by someone who raised my family, so I had a really good household. And I didn't realize we were struggling until I moved to Vegas. I moved to Vegas when I was 13 years old. My big mama is what I call her. She had custody of me, and basically, she would hide everything from me. We lived in the projects in Jordan Downs and Watts, and it was kind of like, it was the household and the inside, like from the outside you would never expect it, but when you walk in, we're mopping floors when there's nothing on the floor. She's like, Gershon, come clean up. I'm like, what is to clean up? There'll be dishes in the sink. And I go look, and there's like 2 spoons. I'm like, really? But other than that, it was a really she was big on education because, she didn't graduate. My sister, she graduated, went to a trade school, but she's not moving in the direction that I see in her. I thought if you go to college, you become successful. And I realized that's not the only way, but I believe you can do anything if you just put the work in to get there. I believe that's guaranteed. If you want, whatever you want, if you put the work in and you're willing to put the work in, then you can get what you need. When I came to Vegas though, everything was good. I started out of middle school. I started my 8th grade year, and everything was smooth sailing. But 2 years before she passed, her birthday is actually February 8th, so it's really, really close. Her death date was February 25th, which is right around the corner. So it's I get a little emotional talking about it, but overall, she just wanted me to graduate. That's her biggest thing, was graduate. So every time I catch myself falling off, I got to think back, what would she want? Because 2 years before she passed, like I was saying, we got real close. Normally, it would stay in the get out of grown folks' business, you kid, stay. But she started opening up to me. And, seeing, I was the only one who had a bed and stuff in my room. She had an air mattress. It was what's going on? Are you really okay? But before I can even get to ask those questions, she went ahead to pass. But I believe, your biggest heartaches can be, a reason to drive you to success and make you want to succeed. And that's when my brother took me in, and that's who I'm with now. So I've been with my brother. He's 32 years old. I've been with him for about 2 years now. Well, I'm gonna say 3 because it's about to go on 3 years. And he made me realize life is more than the moment that you're living in. Just because you don't have it, just because you don't have, these things now, just because you can't afford to get this now, there'll always be a way for you to get it, but you gotta be willing to put the work in. Why? Because so many people can tell you what to do. So many people can tell you, you gotta do this, you gotta do this. You can listen to all these people, but they can't, physically grab your leg and make you walk. You have to be willing to do it yourself. So I've learned a lot from him, and that's when I met Mrs. Esparza in the whole process. And my first question to her was just I want to be successful. How did you get to where you are? And still to this day, we have conversations, and she's just telling me her story, how she got to where she was. And it's just in my head, I thought principal, I thought teacher, all these people were just big, they never had struggles. And now I realize everybody's a human being, and everybody went through their own heartaches to get to where they were. And she did a very good job at, motivating us. Like, I don't know a principal. Like, my previous school, I didn't see my principal always active with the kids. Like, with any kid that walked past. And Mrs. Esparza, she's really good at that. Even today on our way here, there's a kid walking to school and she named the name. I'm like, wait, you know your kids, like, and you don't really see that much. And I'm grateful for meeting her and all of the staff, especially Miss Garcia. I met Miss Garcia last year also through the Wellness Center because me, myself, went through a mental crisis, and that's when everything started. That's when all the opportunity opened up. It's like, I believe everything happened for a reason, and that's why I'm here today. If I would have never, went to that Wellness Center, if I would have never reached out to people and reached out to the teacher that provided all these different, I should say, opportunities for me, then I wouldn't be here right now. I'd probably be another student, or it'd probably just be them too. But I want to thank you, Mrs. Esparza, for everything that you did for me, and also thank you, Ms. Garcia.
So Gershon is being very humble. And, one thing I noticed with, and I think it's just his inner soul. He's very wise. You can see that, right? And I think the thing that I'm most impressed with a lot of our students is how resilient, how much grit. But that is not something that is necessarily easy to cultivate. And I'm proud of our culture because we are also one of the first schools to implement positive behavior instructional supports in Nevada. And so we acknowledge our kids when they do things right. I have kids turning in wallets with money. I have kids holding doors open for adults. I have kids saying thank you and please. And I don't know about you, but if you're a parent with a teenager, that's a big undertaking. So Gershon also has made himself, and you're being shy, Gershon, he really turned a leaf, and he did go through a crisis. And I know as a result of the Wellness Center, he, for a time there, was doing a cheerleading.
I was in cheer.
He was in cheer.
I'm currently in cheer.
Currently, he back in. And you're taking what AP
I'm
coursework?
taking AP Government. At the start of the year, I had AP Physics, AP Language. No, I lied. AP Physics, AP Literature, and AP Government, and also AP Statistics. But I was like, this is my senior year. I already have the credits I need. So why, why do that to myself? So
yeah.
What I end up doing is I just dropped everything, and I went to Mrs. Esparza. I'm like, can I get like 3 open periods? She's like, I don't know, talk to your counselor, but if he needs a admin approval, I'm here. And that's one thing I love about her, because she's always there, like always there. Like whenever I need her, she's there. She's never gone. For other people, it's like, oh no, she's off campus. I'm like, no, I know she's not off campus. I just see her. Like, but when I used to have I have 4 AP classes at the start, and now I'm only taking AP Government and English 12 because I did AP Literature my junior year. I just gotta, I'm trying to keep myself chill, but I only have 2 classes that I really need to worry about, and that's just English 12 and AP Government, and I'm currently doing amazing in both of them.
There you go. Ms. Garcia, would you kind of speak about some of our layers of how we wrap around our kids and what our process is and how we bring all of our community partners, because we have the good thing and the blessing, and sometimes I say it is a blessing. When you get on the map, then everybody wants to come, right? Because success breeds success. So I'm very intentional and very selective, but very protective, like a mama bear of my Vikings, of who I allow into our space. So could you speak about some of our wraparound services?
Sure. And that is another awesome lens that you came with when you came to Valley. At our previous school, we did have some wraparound supports too at Chaparral. Mm-hmm. So we do have many entities at Valley, ranging from Project 150 that helps with our homeless youth, to Gear Up, to UNLV. We have many key players at the table, including the people who are helping us in the Wellness Center with mental health, as well as physical health. So we meet once a month and we discuss specific student cases. We try to strategize and figure out what we are not meeting. That's the one thing that I really love about Valley is we always like to say we're building the plane as we're flying it, right? We're building by design interventions and groups and strategies that are specifically meeting the needs of our students in real time. So that will change from year to year, from month to month. Currently, right now, we have a partnership. They're also new to our table with the Gang Intervention Task Force in Clark County. So we're targeting those specific needs. We're developing social emotional support groups, anger management groups. We have a group for our pregnant and parenting teen moms. So we have really sat down with our staff as well as our students to take that feedback into account and to figure out what it is that we're missing and what could we build, make, or design that could target those needs specifically. So we're fortunate to have a village, right? It takes a village to raise our kids, and you are the mama bear that only lets the best in for our students. So we're fortunate to have a lot of wraparound services on our campus.
Thank you. Thank you. Gershon, thinking about, because you explained, and thank you for not mentioning school names. So you said you kind of compared, and it's kind of why you chose to stay at Valley, because you kind of move around a bit, right?
Yes.
And we talked about all the things that we do to support kids that want to stay. And that's another good problem, is when that word gets out, kids want to come. So what makes you want to be at Valley each and every day?
Honestly, I'm more closer to teachers and staff and admin than I am with students, although like almost all the students know who I am because of that. But the reason why I love going there every day is because, you typically only see the janitors or the campus monitors, actually talking to kids, trying to encourage kids. But when you have the secretary of like the principal and assistant principals in the hallway actively talking to students also, that's just like, that's something that I see, like, these people actually care. They don't care about the check. They don't care about just the title of the job. They actually care about what they do. And I feel like they'll be willing to do it without pay. And that's one thing I really appreciate, because they're not quick to just get you out their face. They're not quick to just, you sit down, here's your schedule, bye. They come to you. You don't have to go to them. And that's one thing I do love, because other schools, it was all about self-advocating, but I believe in balance. And Valley has a really good job at balance between, like, self-advocate and people who can already advocate for themselves. And it's like Mrs. Esparza found a way to like balance that perfectly, because either this school has too much of the self-advocate, advocate for yourself, you're independent, or it has too much of, I'm gonna keep on giving you my hand. She has a perfect balance to allow you to learn and also, give you time to reflect on what you did to grow yourself from that, whatever situation it may have been.
Thank you, Gershon. Wow. I'm gonna clap for that. We did not rehearse. I just want you to know. So thank you, Gershon. So I think we have a little bit of time before we do some closing for the group. If you will allow us to, is there anything else you wanted to share before we maybe open up for a couple of questions with the group?
Well,
sure.
May I just say one thing? The whole reason for me being here today is because, like, I wanted to push myself. I wanted to see how far, can I go. And one thing I just want to, for me, I motivate myself. So when I speak out loud, it's like I'm speaking to myself, and that's what I'm doing right now. And I just basically, I don't want to wake up every morning wondering how I'm going to pay my light bill, or how I'm going to, pay my rent, or how I'm going to pay this bill. I want to be able to wake up knowing that that is already covered. My priorities, I want that to be what I want, which is to help people, motivate people, and also help myself. I don't want it to be, okay, this light bill is $300, but my rent is $800, but this is this, how am I going to do this? I want those challenges to be something that I want versus, I want my needs to, basically my life, my biggest fear in life is living life the way I don't want to live it. And I do not, I can't afford, what's the point of living? What's the point of moving on with life if you're going to have to worry about things that you need? Why can't your needs be taken care of? And you can go and live for your wants, live for your, why you want to make, the future a better place, or why you want to better yourself.
Yep. Sean, you're getting this class. So, Gershon, I think your first standing ovation, probably not your last. What is your plan? And I would love for them to hear that before we go to questions.
My overall plan is to become successful, but if I was to put my life in goals, my first goal is music because I sing. So that's what I'm like, I want to put all my time into that, but I always have a backup plan or a secondary plan. And I told myself from day one I want to be an FBI agent. So in college, I want to, for sure, performing arts, but also criminal psychology and behavior analysis, because even if I make it big, and if I feel like it's not really, if I'm not satisfied with what I'm doing, then I'm going to switch into FBI. But my overall thing is just motivating people, and I don't want it because of just the fame. I want it because I want everyone to hear that, like, the biggest blessing in life is when you have nothing. Because if you come from nothing, when you get up there, you're gonna know, like, I don't want to go back down there. Like, I know how it feels versus someone who's already up here. They don't have that. They have that fear, but they're like, it can't happen to me. But if you're already down there and you get up, you got, like, when you're down, you have no choice but to go up. And once you're up, by you being down, you're gonna do everything it takes not to go back down. Versus you're starting up, it's like you can go down, but if you're down, and that's why I feel like my life is such a blessing, because I've been down all my life, and I feel like I have no other place but to go is up.
I don't know about you, but we'll be reading about Gershon one day. Maybe voting for Gershon one day. So we have 2 gifts for you as our closing, and I said we would have a question, but I don't know, do we have time? Because we have 2 more things to do. We started a little late. Okay, I'm not getting any head nodding, so I'm going to take it. All right, that's what principals do. Do we have time for maybe one question? Is there a question in the room from anyone? Ooh, then we're going to close. One question. Yes. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
So we have 2 closing gifts for you, and I just wanted to be able to share it with the group and also share it with my amazing Vikings that are here with me today. You're going to meet some other amazing Vikings in just a moment. Wrote you guys just a little bit of a letter. Because of you, when I called you to find a way to help a student that his father passed, knowing he knows that he's now the man of the house, he needed help to remain in school and learn to juggle taking the role of head of household because of you. Another student has a place to sleep tonight, and for this week, because you found a group, adolescent shelter, that was welcoming to an LGBTQ student that was kicked out of his house for being who he needed to be. Because of you, you set up so many students for success when you checked in with them weekly, checking on their grades, their attendance, giving them backpacks, supplies, removing barriers for them to learn. Because of you, Velvet Williams, Jennifer Lepardo, Miss Ivana, Aaron Macias, Vita Johnson, Miss Amanda, William Roderink, Tasha Fields, Miss Butler. Because of you, a young homeless student was introduced to a generous community partner that paid for his entire room and board and tuition at UNLV. He is now in a fraternity, and he is completing his degree to pursue a career in fire science and serve others as those have served him. What you need to know is that I see you, we see you. You absorb the pain and anxiety that our students live each day. You listen with an open mind and compassionate heart. You may even lose sleep at night, as I do sometimes, wondering what else could I have done for that one you could not reach. Because of what you do each and every day, I wonder who takes care of you. What brings you joy and fills your soul? Do we even know what's in your backpack of life that helps you continue to inspire and serve as you do? Please know I see you. We see you. Turn to someone right now and look in their eyes. Please do that. I know, indulge me, please. Indulge me. I would like you to say to that person, I see you. We see you. Thank you for what you do. You sit. We're good. We're good. Gershon. So our closing is a special thank you. And near and dear to my heart, we have some young ladies that are going to perform for us today. And they are presenting to you an original piece never been seen before. My amazing Vikings, Dariana Corona and Celeste Gonzalez. This piece is to demonstrate pain, and their piece purposefully is kind of showing a rendition of abuse. So I don't know the title, ladies, but it's amazing. So please, thank you.
I'm not good at reading minds, cause I think that mine is lost. I'm not good at reading signs, I just roll right through the stop. I just need a word, so I know you know I am still here. I'm not good at reading minds, so just tell me what we've got. Say you hate me. Just say something. Say you hate me. Just say anything. Say you hate me. Just say something. Say you hate me. Just say anything. Say you hate me. Just say something. Say you hate me. Just say anything. I'm not giving up. I'm not giving up, but I've given up.
Can you stand up? Thank you, guys. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.